Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name's Matthew, I'm a realtor from Regina, and I want to educate you all about real estate. My trusted assistant Matilda, who usually sits in that chair, well, she's decided the day has been too hard already and is having a nap. That's why she's not in this video, but I want to educate you on all of the costs associated with buying a house in Canada. There's the obvious ones, like your down payment, but then there's a couple of hidden ones that most first-time home buyers don't know about, and I want to make sure you know. I have also just recently launched my first-time home buyers course. Now I'm going to put a link to that in the description. There's over an hour's worth of video content there, plus a bunch of checklists and additional guides that's going to make the process of buying a house significantly easier and far less stressful. But let's start off, as we always do, with another terrible joke. How do you make a sad astronaut happy again? You just give them more space.
Houston, we have a problem.
If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, put it in the comments below. If you love learning about real estate, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's start this video off talking about down payments. Now, maybe get a pen and paper because all this stuff throughout the entire video, you're going to want to write down. Some of these costs will be applicable to you while others will not. And it'll kind of give you a running total of what it's going to cost you to buy a house in Canada.
Okay, so that's another 500. That's 500, 500. That's...
You want a calculator?
Please.
The minimum down payment is 5%. Now, a lot of buyers get confused thinking that is for only first-time home buyers. It's actually not true. Anybody who is purchasing a home as a owner-occupied, so it's gonna be your primary residence, can put down 5% as a down payment. But there's a catch. The catch is that you can only put 5% down if your purchase price is below $500,000. If your purchase price is above that, well, we'll get into that example in just a second. But for quick math, a $350,000 purchase, well, that's going to mean a $17,500 minimum down payment. If your purchase price is over $500,000 but below $1 million, then what you have is a 5% down payment on the first $500,000 and 10% on any portion from $500,000 to $1 million. So if your purchase price is $750,000, $25,000 for that first 5%, and then $25,000 for the remaining $250,000, making that down payment $50,000. If your purchase is going to be over $1 million, or this is an investment property, then you must put down 20% on the full amount. So for example, let's say you're buying a $1.3 million property.
$1 million.
That's actually the benchmark price right now in Toronto. If you want to know what's going on prices in your city, I do a monthly Canadian real estate market update. I'll put a link to that in the description, and one of those fancy pop-up cards will come up, and make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss those videos. But on a $1.3 million purchase, the minimum down payment is $260,000. When you're buying a house in Canada and you have less than 20% down, you must have what is called mortgage default insurance. A lot of people refer to this as CMHC fees as they are one of the providers of this insurance. The other two are Sagen and Canada Guarantee. Now this insurance, it isn't really for you, it's actually for your lender.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
If you were to stop paying your mortgage and the bank were to foreclose on your house and they incurred losses in that foreclosure process, this insurance protects the lender from those losses, thus giving them more incentive to lend you money when you have less than 20% down. But you have to pay for that insurance. Right now, mortgage default insurance, when you have a 5% down payment, is 4%. Now this is going to be added onto your mortgage. You could, I guess, pay it up in front, but if you already have that additional cash, why wouldn't you just put that as a larger down payment and avoid these fees in the first place? The more you put down though, the less these fees become. I'm going to link in the description of this video to show you exactly based on what you put down, what those default insurance fees will be. These default insurance fees, that's one of those hidden fees that not a lot of buyers understand when they're buying a house that they're gonna have to pay. Now again, like I said, you could pay this up front, but that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to have all this extra money, pay this fee, and not just put a larger down payment down. But it's also a fee that's going to be added into your mortgage, meaning your mortgage amount is going to be higher per month, and you're paying essentially these fees off over 25 years with your mortgage. Okay, so you've watched this far already. You're probably serious about buying a house in Canada, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know a great realtor. I want somebody to help me through this process. I have you covered. I have a great extensive network of real estate agents across Canada that I trust and believe are fantastic agents, some of the best in their market. So if you want to get set up with one of those fantastic agents, I'm gonna put a link to my calendar in the description below where you can book me in. I'll give you a quick call. We'll chat about what you need in a realtor, but also what's important to you in a house. And I'm gonna get you set up with one of those fantastic agents in your market. Closing costs are one of the most expensive parts of buying a house besides your down payment. This is gonna include things like your legal fees, but also inspections, land transfer taxes, and a bunch of other small little things. Realistically, you should budget 2 to 3% of your purchase price to cover these closing costs. The bank typically is going to want to see that you have at least 1.5% in addition to your down payment for those closing costs. Part of buying a house in Canada is going to be getting the house inspected. Now, what inspections you need to do and how much that's going to cost, well, that varies quite a bit across the country and by property type. But let's give you a quick general overview here. When you get a home inspection, which is a great start, that's going to give you a good broad strokes inspection on a house, probably somewhere in the neighborhood between $500 and $700. If you need specialized professionals like plumbers, electricians, HVAC, those will probably cost you $150 to $250 per professional if you need them to come out. And if you need even more specialized professionals like say an engineer to look at the foundation or somebody to come out and do an environmental assessment, those will probably start at about $1,000 and go up from there. But those type of inspections, those are very rare. Legal fees will typically start about $1,000 to $1,500 for buyers, but this does not include things like land titles registration, land transfer taxes, or any additional fees that that lawyer may charge as part of the processing for the transaction. So make sure when you're buying a house, talk to your lawyer and ask them, what additional fees on top of your base fee will need to be covered as part of my cost of buying this house? Land transfer taxes are one of the single most expensive parts of your closing costs. Again, these can't be added on to your mortgage. You have to pay for these out of pocket at the time of purchase. In Alberta and Saskatchewan, there's no land transfer taxes.
They're nice.
Whereas in places like Ontario, they not only have a provincial land transfer tax, but also a municipal land transfer tax.
Smithies, are they booing me?
No, they're saying boo earns, boo earns.
The places that have land transfer taxes, and I think I've got them all here, BC, Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. And if I missed one, let me know in the comments below. Those are going to range from about 0.5 to 2.5% of the purchase price. In Toronto, if you're buying a $1.3 million home, that's that benchmark price home, you're going to have the provincial land transfer tax and a municipal land transfer tax. It's going to add up to $50,000. So this is a significant amount of money out of pocket you have to pay. Check with your provincial jurisdiction and see if there are rebates available or exemptions for first-time homebuyers, because most provinces do have one or the other. Another cost of buying a house that a lot of people don't think of is your moving costs. Now, if you're just moving across the city, you're getting your friends to help you, probably cost you a couple of cases of beer and some pizzas, pretty cheap.
Dudes, it's scarfing time!
But if you're hiring professional movers or moving across the country, probably between hundreds and thousands of dollars to make that move. The one hidden cost of buying a house in Canada that I think a lot of home buyers don't expect is what's called final adjustments. This is done by the lawyers. Now, if you're buying a house and there is a rented item like a furnace, an air conditioner, water heater, etc., if the seller has prepaid that contract for the remainder of the year or whatever time is left on it, and you're going to be taking over that contract. Now remember, you're under no obligation as a buyer to take over existing contracts signed by the seller. But if you are, and the seller has prepaid that, you're going to have to reimburse them for the amount that they have paid from when you're taking possession to the end of whatever that contract length is. The other one that catches people in final adjustments is property taxes. The majority of homeowners pay their property taxes with their monthly mortgage payment, but if the owner pays it up front or they have their house paid off, they won't be paying a mortgage monthly. So if they have prepaid their property taxes for the entire year and you're moving in halfway through the year, you are going to have to reimburse the sellers the amount of property taxes they have paid while you will be in possession of that property. So that is one where you have to be very careful. Make sure you know and you have accounted for property taxes coming up in final adjustments. And if you want to learn even more about buying a house in Canada, this is my first time home buyers playlist with tons of videos specifically for you, the first time home buyer. And this video right here is what the YouTube algorithm says you need to watch next on Bald Prairie Real Estate. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching.